Hi everyone, my name is Sabrienne, and today we're going to be making this crochet duck cap. I'm going to be demonstrating the 6 to 12 month size, but I am actually offering this pattern as a free download for subscribers on my blog. So if you want to make a different size, I'll leave a link below and you can download the pattern and follow along with the video. So all you need to get started today is 50 grams of worsted weight yarn for the main part of the cap, and then about 10 grams of the orange yarn for the beak, and then just scraps of white and black yarn for the eyes. You need a 5 millimeter hook for the cap, and then a 4.5 for some of the other features. So I'll leave all the materials below in the description, and I'll also include the gauge so that you can make sure that you get the correct fit. Okay, so to get started, we are going to start with the chain two method. Of course, if you know the magic circle, you can use that, and you'll just be working 8 half double crochet into that magic circle. And today I'm just using these clover hooks, which I will leave a link to. These are really comfortable. I like the rubber grip, and I like the size and the weight of them as well. Okay, so we're just going to start with a slip knot on our hook, and we're going to chain two. So that's one and two. Then working in the very first chain that we made here, we're going to place 8 half double crochet. So that's one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, and eight. And I also want to mention we're working in continuous rounds. So you're going to want a stitch marker or something so that you can track the beginning and the ends of the rounds. And eight. So let's just go around, count our stitches. One, two, three, 6, 8. Okay, so we've done 8 stitches. So that's the beginning here. And then in the next round, we're going to be doubling our stitches. So we're going to be working 2 half double crochet into each stitch around, because 8 stitches is a lot to work into a chain. But just move your stitches over and find that first half double crochet, where we're going to work 2 stitches right into that stitch. And then this is where you want to start using your stitch marker. Now, actually, we're going to put the stitch marker through the front posts here. And then that way, when we come around, we can actually keep working through our stitch. Okay. And then we're going to work 2 half double crochet in the next stitch. And we're going to continue to do that in every stitch around. So just go ahead for round 2, work 2 half double crochet in every stitch around. At the end of round 2, you should have 16 stitches. Okay, so I'll go ahead and finish that, and then we'll meet up for round 3. Okay, so I'm at the end of round 2 here, and I'll just count my stitches, make sure that we have 16. So I like to count by twos because, of course, we put 2 stitches in each half double crochet round. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, and 16. Remember that this was our first stitch. Okay, so for round 3, we're going to increase again, and we're going to be working a half double crochet into the first stitch, followed by 2 half double crochet in the next. Now, if you're an experienced crocheter and you know how to do these increases, you can go off and work on your own. You're just going to do the increases till you reach 56 stitches. Okay, so I just finished round 2 and I checked that I have 16 stitches. So moving on to round 3, we're going to increase again, and we're going to start by working a half double crochet in the first stitch, followed by 2 half double crochet in the next. That's one, and 2. And then let's slip this right back in the first stitch. And then we're going to work a half double crochet in the next, followed by 2 half double crochet in the next stitch. So that's your pattern repeat for round 3. You're going to work 1 half double crochet in one stitch and 2 half double crochet in the next. And at the end of round 3, you should have 24 half double crochet. So go ahead and finish that round, and we'll meet up for round 4. Okay, so I have double checked at the end of round 3, I have 24 half double crochet. For round 4, we're going to, of course, do another increase, and we're going to be doing that by working a half double crochet into the first 2 stitches, 1 and 2. Let's put our stitch marker back in, followed by 2 half double crochet in the next. And we're going to do a half double crochet in the next 2 stitches. So 1, 2, followed by 2 half double crochet in the next. Okay. So that is your pattern repeat for round 4. At the end of round 4, you should have 32 stitches. So you're going to half double crochet in 2 stitches. So that's half double crochet here, and then a two half double crochet in the next. So do that all the way around for round 4. Double check that at the end of round 4, you have 32 half double crochet, and we'll move on to round 5. Okay, so I'm at the end of round 4. I've double checked and I have 32 stitches. For round 5, we're going to increase again. I'm sure you're getting the hang of these increases. We're just going to do a half double crochet into the first 3 stitches. So 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to work 2 half double crochet in the next. So that's 1 and 2. So that is your pattern repeat for round 5. And at the end of round 5, you'll have 40 stitches. So go ahead and work a half double crochet in 3 stitches. So that would be 1, 2, and 3. And then you're going to do an increase in the next. So 2 half double crochet in the next. So for this pattern, you want to make sure that your increases do line up so that they go into the stitches where you've done that previous increase, and you can tell where those are because of that little V shape there. Not all patterns are like that, but this one is. Okay, so go ahead and work round 5, and at the end, just double check that you have 40 half double crochet. All right. I'm at the end of round 5, and I've double checked, and I have 40 half double crochet. We have 2 more rounds of increases to get to the size we want. So let's move ahead with round 6. So for round 6, we're going to do a half double crochet into the first 4 stitches. It's 1. That's my dog Ziva in the background. 2, 3, and 4. Let's put our stitch marker back in. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then work 2 half double crochet in the next. So that will be your pattern repeat for round 6. You're going to work a half double crochet into 4 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then work your increase in the 5th stitch right there where you previously did your increase. And at the end of round 6, you'll have 48 half double crochet. Okay, so I just finished round 6 and I have 48 half double crochet, and this is going to be our last increase round. Okay, moving on to round 7, we're going to work a half double crochet in the first 5 stitches. I'll put my stitch marker in. That's 2. 3, 4, and 5. And then we're just going to do an increase. So 2 half double crochet in the next. So that's your pattern repeat for round 7. And at the end of round 7, you should have 56 stitches. So go ahead and work that, and then we'll move on for the sides of the cap. Okay, see you soon. Okay, so we just finished round 7. You should have 56 half double crochet, and we're ready to move on to the sides of the hat. So for rounds 8 through 12, all you're going to be doing is working a half double crochet into every stitch around. And then when we come back, you're going to be switching to the 4.5 millimeter hook, and we'll be working the rest of the cap. So just go ahead and do that. And then we'll come back and we'll just finish off the base of the cap, and then we'll start on the little bill of the hat. Okay, we'll see you soon. Okay, now that we finished our 12 rounds of half double crochet, it's time to switch to the 4.5 millimeter hook. And that is just going to help to shape the hat so that it doesn't flare out like this. Of course, if we added more rounds, that flare would go away, but switching to the 4.5 does make it a better shape. And what we're going to be doing for rounds 13 through 18 is switching to a single crochet. So you're just going to single crochet into every stitch around. You want to make sure also when you're working these rounds that you stay at 56 stitches because of course if you add more or skip some, it's going to change the finished size of your hat. So go ahead and work 6 rounds of single crochet. So rounds 13 through 18. And then we'll meet up and grab your orange yarn, hang on to your 4.5 millimeter hook, and we'll work on the beak. Okay, see you soon. Okay, so I'm back at the end of the round here, and I finished my 6 rounds, and we're just going to fasten off with a slip stitch. And we'll just cut the yarn. So let's just take a quick measure. So my hat measures 8 inches across, which would be about 16 inches around and about 5.5 inches tall. Now that does seem a little short, but we want it short for a cap so that when that beak is done or the bill or the brim, that it's not, covering the baby's eyes. So for caps and bucket hats, generally you want them to be a bit shorter. Okay. So now we're just going to grab our orange yarn and we're going to join it 15 stitches to the left of the fasten off point. So let's go ahead and count those stitches. And we'll slip our stitch marker in just so that we don't lose our spot. Okay, so make sure you still have your 4.5 millimeter hook and just join the orange yarn with a slip stitch. And then we're going to be working in the front loop only. So if you're not familiar with that, each stitch has 2 loops. So that's a back loop, and that one there is your front loop. So what we're going to be doing is working a single crochet through the front loop only 24 stitches across. What that does is it helps to lift the brim up and away from the face so that it's not laying flat against the forehead. You'll see later on when we do it. Okay, so I finished working my 24 stitches across, and all we're going to be doing next is working a single crochet in that last stitch, chain 1, and turning. Then what we're going to be doing is working a single crochet decrease over the next 2 stitches. So if you've never done that before, it's really easy. You just insert your hook, pull up a loop like you're doing a single crochet, but then go right into the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over and through all 3 loops on your hook. And that changes those 2 stitches into 1. Then we're going to be working a single crochet over the next 5 stitches. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we're going to do an increase. So we're going to work 2 single crochet into the next stitch. So 2 stitches into 1. Then we're going to work a single crochet over the next 8 stitches. It's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then we're going to work 2 single crochet in the next stitch. So that's an increase again. That's 1 and 2. And then we're going to work a single crochet into the next 5 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And another way to do the decrease is just skipping a stitch. So you can skip that stitch, work in the next, and then a single crochet in the last stitch. And that is the second row of the beak done. And you can see now how it's sort of coming away from the hat a little bit. And that's the look that we want. Okay, so moving on to round 3, we're going to chain 1 and turn. And then we're going to do a decrease again over those first 2 stitches. And then we're going to be single crocheting over the next 20 stitches. So you're going to single crochet all the way across until you have 3 stitches left. Okay, so we are at our last 3 stitches now. So you're going to do another decrease over the next 2 stitches, and then a single crochet in the last stitch. Okay, and then we're going to chain 1 and turn, do a single crochet decrease again at over the first 2 stitches. And then we're going to single crochet over the next 4. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we're going to do 2 single crochet in the next. And then we're going to do a single crochet over the next 8 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then in the next stitch, we're going to do 2 single crochet. So that's 1 and 2. And then single crochet over the next 4 stitches. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we're going to do a decrease over the next 2 stitches. And a single crochet in the last stitch. Okay, and then this is our last row of the brim. Okay, we're going to do a decrease at the beginning again. So decrease over those first 2 stitches. And then just work a single crochet over the next, all the way across until you reach the last 3 stitches. That's the easiest way to do it. Okay, so I'm at the last 3 stitches. You're just going to do a single crochet decrease over those, and then a single crochet in the last. Now, without fastening off, we're going to do a final round of single crochet, and that's going to tidy up this edge and pull the whole hat together. So just go ahead and work your single crochets. Don't work them too tight because you don't want to change the shape of the brim. You just want to make a nice clean edge of it. See how that cleaned up that edge there compared to this one here? And then what I would do is work 2 single crochet in the corner here. If the corners are worked too tight, then what happens is your brim gets pulled down and it doesn't sit away. Okay, so I'll just go around and work a single crochet, and I'll meet you actually at this stitch right here. Okay, so I am back down at the other side. We're at this corner stitch here. So just work 2 stitches in the corner here and then loosely down the side of the brim just to clean that up. Okay, and then you're going to just fasten off at the corner here. Okay, now you're going to want to weave in this end, and then just with your fingers, you're going to shape the brim nicely there, like that. Okay, see how cute that is? And it comes away from the cap just the way you want it to. Okay, so while we have our orange yarn, we're going to make the hair. Do you call it hair? Do you call it fur? Do you call it feathers? I don't know what you call it on a duck, but if you have an opinion, post it in the comments. Okay, so what we're going to be doing here is just chaining 37. So 1, 2, 3, 5, 36, and 37. All right, so we're just going to tie that off. And then we're going to fold it. So let's fold it in half. And then we want to do 3 little loops. So I like the middle one to be longer. And then like that. Okay. So that's kind of where I ended up, but I should have grabbed my needle. So let me grab a yarn needle first. I'm losing my hair. Menopause. Um, okay, so I got my needle. I don't know if you are familiar with these needles, but they're the ones I always go to because they work with all my yarn. I got them off Amazon, so I'll try to remember to post a link. And if I don't, then feel free to message me and give me a kick in the butt. Okay, so all I'm going to do here is just work through the ends so that when I go to secure it to the hat, I don't lose the shape of the hair. We're going to call it hair. All right. Yeah, so that looks pretty good. Actually, it looks like a little chicken foot. All right. And then we're just going to sew this to the top of the hat right in the middle here. So actually what I'm going to do, I have to confess something now that we're near the end of the video. I haven't made one of these for 15 years. 15 years? November 19 No, November 2009 is when I released my very first design, and this was the duck cap. So I'm going to put a little nostalgic photo here so that you can see my Etsy store way back then. And I haven't done one since. So I'm offering this as a free download because, it's nostalgic and it's cute. And I'm having quite an issue here. All right, so I've got that one through. It's kind of like when you put a pom-pom on. And then let me just grab. See, I'm working here. This is actually the center circle of our very first round. And I pull a strand through on either side of that. And in my mind, that's about how I make sure that it's actually centered. So now what you could do is I'm actually going to tie mine in a little knot. And then I'll weave in the ends later. But this is just going to keep it in place for now. Of course, this is optional too. You don't have to put this on, but I mean, why wouldn't you? It's so cute. Okay, so that's the brim and the hair done. And now we just need to move on to the eyes. I'm going to be working with white yarn and black yarn. So I'm going to go grab the piece of gray paper because somebody commented that they couldn't see when I worked on cream on white. And I want everybody to be able to see my videos. So I'm going to weave in my ends and then we'll move on to the eyes. Okay. We'll see you soon. Okay. Sorry, jumping in for one little trick. You see how this dips down here a little bit? If you find you have that issue, just take your yarn needle, poke it through, and pull it up. Okay, that's just me being a little obsessive. But, anyways, I wanted to show you that as well. Okay, I'm going to go grab my yarn for my eyes and we'll be back. Okay, so I was going to try and demonstrate the eye using the black yarn, but you absolutely cannot see it on video. So I'm going to demonstrate in green yarn. So all we're going to be doing is starting by chaining two. So that's one and two. And then I'm going to be working 8 half double crochet into the second chain from the hook. So 1, 2, work half double crochet into there and work over your tail or use the magic circle or don't. And you can just weave in your ends. 3, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I need 2 more. Okay. So I've worked 8 half double crochet. All we're going to be doing is joining to that first stitch and we're going to be fastening off. And you're going to want to do that for the second eye as well. Okay. And then just to keep things easy, I'm going to weave in my tails before I start working on the rest of the eye. And then it just gives me less yarn to have to work around. Okay. Now, because I don't have any white cotton yarn, now I'm going to be using acrylic. Okay. So to join the white yarn, you can just choose any stitch. And we're going to join that with a slip stitch. And then working into the same space that you joined in, you're going to be working a single crochet. And then you're going to go into the next stitch and you're going to work a half double crochet. It's 1 and 2. And then 1 single crochet in the next stitch. And then a slip stitch in the next. And that's your eye done. Okay, so before we fasten off the tails, I'm back in with my black eye so that you can see. Now, I'm going to work with the longer tail of yarn that I have. I would use this one, but I cut it too short. So what we're going to do now is add the white, um, like sort of light reflection in the eye, and that's what helps to give the duck its expression. So I just want to show you here, sort of where I'm going in, maybe a little bit lower. And then what we're going to do is basically work. Okay, so I'm going to go in fairly low, almost close to the center, actually. Okay, and then I'm going to work a V, and I'm going to work it off to the side here. And that's what gives it that look like it's sort of looking up and off to the side, which I think it gives it such cute expression. I'm going to go right back in as close as we can to the original stitch. And then we're just going to go right in beside it here. And you're going to do the exact same thing in the exact same position for the other eye. Okay. Now we'll weave in these ends here. Make sure we're weaving them in on the right side. Okay, so I'll go do my other eye. And before I go too far, I'm going to show you my little trick. So I got this stuff from Fabricland, which is a fabric store here in Ontario, but you can get it from Walmart. You can probably also get it online. And I use this to position the eyes before I stitch them on because I'm not good enough at holding things in place and stitching them on. They seem to shift. So if you're getting to this point, you may want to pick some of this up, or even probably white glue would work, honestly. So, okay, I'll go ahead and do the other eye and come back and we'll position the eyes and get those attached. Okay, so I have finished both my eyes, and this is where the little ducky comes to life. So I like to place my eyes like right on the edge of the brim and then tilt them sideways like this. So just play with it, but keep them fairly close together because remember, the front of the hat isn't this wide, right? It's going to wrap around the head. So if you put them too far apart, then it's not going to look right. So I use this liquid stitch and I will glue it into place before I stitch it on. Then that way I'm sure that they're not shifting. So this step, of course, is completely optional. And I do need to warn you, once you do this, there is no repositioning the eyes. So be very sure where you're putting them. So I'm going to fold my cap in half here. We're going to get a stitch marker so that I can mark the middle of the brim and use that to position the eyes. Because I think where I had them before, they weren't quite centered. So actually, if you do that, then it looks a little cross-eyed, which is also cute. Okay. So I'm just going to do mine there. I'm going to glue mine into position. It needs to sit for a little bit and then we'll come back. Okay, so I'm ready to attach my eyes now and to work the eyelashes. So I just have my yarn needle and a knot in the end. So I'm just going to start working in the first stitch here. And so I'm going to be working my stitches through the top of my stitches, if that makes sense. So I'm just going under and you'll see here, I'm coming up through and the two loops are on this side of the needle. So I'll just go up, working with a single strand of yarn, and then we can go back down. And at this point, this is where I'm going to start to add the eyelashes. So when I do those, I kind of like to use my stitches as a guide. I like my middle one to be longer and then the side ones to be shorter. So I'm going to be going into this stitch here or in between this stitch here. Okay, I'm going to go in from underneath up here, here, and here. And that's going to give me the exact shape that I want. So I'm just going to come up, go in and underneath the eye so that it looks like it's attached. And then I'm going to come up into that next stitch. And then I'm going to be meeting all the stitches here so that they all join on this end, if that makes sense. And then into the third stitch here, which that'll make it shorter. And then just meet up right there and just underneath. And then I'll continue to stitch the eye on. Now, because I use the glue, I probably won't stitch the white, but that is completely personal preference if you want to do that. But yeah, so that's what you're going to do. And you're just going to do the exact same for the other eye. and do the eyelashes over here. So that's everything for today's tutorial. I hope that you enjoyed making this ducky cap. Just remember this pattern is a free download from my blog. I'll leave a link to it below. And yeah, be sure to check out the community tab. I'll leave a link to that so that if you want your say in what pattern I do next, you can do that over there. So this was between this and a newborn hat and diaper cover, and it was neck and neck, but this one won. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed that, and we will see you in the next one. Bye for now.